I'll hold you tighter than I hold my phone while taking a bath, baby.
I'm not staring, I'm just stuck in a loop.
You auto-complete me. Wow, that was bad.
These are really bad. These are terrible pickup lines. You're sweeter than 3.14159.
Baby, you give me sudden, protracted cardiac arrhythmia every time I seize.
What's your cosine?
Forget hydrogen. You're my #1 element.
Need me to unzip your files?
If you were a triangle, you'd be a cute one.
Boy, you are hotter than the bottom of my laptop.
I wish I was your first derivative so I could lay tangent to your curves.
You've stolen the ASCII to my heart.
You had me at Hello World.
Live in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, welcome to a very special episode of SparkFun Live, here with cats and crafts and a live studio audience.
Hello. Hi, folks.
Hi, how you doing?
Coming straight from our new balcony here at SparkFun Live headquarters.
What you making over there?
I'm making a heart.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Very good.
Looks like you need a little help with your crafting though, so we're going to be doing a project and you can follow along at home, and these two will show you how to do it as well. We'll see how good our instructing is. I'm going to put the cat down for a moment.
And my name is Amanda.
I'm Angela. This is Sadie. She'll be helping crush all our projects today.
And over here we've got Greg.
Hello.
And Matt.
Hi.
So if you visit our website, you might see a nice tutorial that you can follow along with at home. It's light up Valentine's cards. Ooh. We have 3 separate cards that you can try. Amanda's got a framed one. I've got an I love you. And then Sadie is sitting on the 3rd one. Yep. It's a little pixelated heart. And if you want to go the Zelda route with it, you can print out a screenshot and put that on the front too.
Pretty cool stuff. And if you're an animal lover, you can do this one. And there's different cats. I have little dogs here. You can make any kind of cutout you want that looks like a silhouette. And it works perfectly for pretty much any occasion.
So how exactly are we going to make these things? You guys, do you have any idea?
Well, this is for Arbor Day.
Big fan of Arbor Day.
Yeah,
Love Arbor Day.
Well, tell us, what kind of example could you give us for Arbor Day?
Well, you could
I'll cut you a tree right
make
here.
a horse.
Okay. I'm lost on that one.
So this weekend is Valentine's Day. That might be a good idea to make something for that.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day.
There you go.
Big fan.
I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. But
What's your favorite part of Valentine's Day? Matthew?
I like the chocolate rabbits.
Chocolate rabbits.
Yep.
Big
Those are good.
fan.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. Candy corn.
Candy corn's great.
Yeah.
All right.
So how exactly are we going to make these things? And what exactly do they do? So Amanda's going to show you underneath one of these. Here we go.
Yep. This is my version that I'm going to be working on here.
If you followed along and printed out the templates from our website, then you'll see some patterns with labels on it. We're going to be using copper tape. Here's one that's already finished. Mm-hmm. Copper tape to connect our components together. We've got an LED, a battery, and a lily pad button, which works really, really well with this copper tape. You can just tape it on and stick it down and then complete your circuit. Since it's really hard to see what we're doing up here, so you can see how small these pieces are.
Yeah,
Amanda's going to
small.
do it on the table and follow along with me, and I'm going to do my giant demo in the back here.
And I'm going to be doing the I Love You version of We have 3 different versions that are on our website. So I will be doing the I Love You, and what are you doing?
I'm going to be doing the template for the frame project. So that one's a nice rectangle. If you're doing that one, you can follow along exactly what I'm doing. If you're doing another one, the instructions are pretty much the same. So we're going to follow an A, a B, and a C line, and we're going to walk you through the whole process. It's a really quick project. We made it even quicker because we didn't have to cut all these out ourselves. We used the laser cutter here at SparkFun.
That's why we got these really pretty, lovely straight lines.
If you don't have a laser cutter, but you have an electronic cutting machine, you can also cut these out on that. A few of these templates I tried out on my Silhouette machine, or if you have a Cricut machine. I just posted an update to a tutorial that has those files, so you can download those out and cut out and just focus on the pop-up part, not so much the cutting part, because not everyone wants to spend 20 minutes cutting out something with an X-Acto knife. How about you guys? Do you want to do that?
Matt's our manual cutting machine over here.
Yeah, got the skills over there.
So if you like the cutting process, you can do what these guys are doing and just freestyle in it, or you can follow along with our templates.
Yep. So here's our copper tape. This is what we're going to start with.
So Amanda's going to show you the actual components. I'm going to show you some giant cardboard ones because that's what I like to teach with when I go out and do these workshops with a lot of people. So we'll have a little kind of side-by-side comparison. They should all look the same. Mine might not be functional. You'll see when Amanda lights hers up, we'll do the final reveal of that.
Yep, and I can move this over so everybody can see.
We got a question from the audience here.
Sure.
Julie from Chattanooga asks, who needs a square heart?
That's a good question.
What are they supposed to be shaped like?
I haven't the slightest.
All right.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about copper tape. So Amanda's got copper tape that you might have at home. It's a 5mm strip. I've got a giant one, it's 2-inch, so we can really see what's going on here. The whole tape is made out of a really thin piece of copper. One safety pro tip is don't run your hand along the side of this. It'll give you pretty nasty paper cuts. It has an adhesive backing, so I'll peel mine off and Amanda will do the same.
Yep. So what I'm going to do is actually start on A. Excuse me, I have cat hair in my mouth. There's A, B, and C. So we're going to start with A, and I'm going to measure out on this little card here. I don't know if you can get this, but you're going to measure out the little gray strip here about how much tape you need, and then I'm going to cut it. If I can grab my scissors, right? About right there. And that's about as much as you need for strip A if you are doing the I Love You card template.
So I'm going to do it very large and exaggerated in the background so you can see I'm doing the same thing. I'm not going to cut mine beforehand. You can also just stick it down and cut it when you get to the end. So it's really your preference here.
All right, so we just stick it down right along the gray line and press it down. Just make sure to be careful of the edges so you don't cut your fingers. And it'll look like that to start. Okay.
Can you hand me your scissors, please?
Sure. There you go. Okay.
So we've got one straight line. Pretty easy, yeah?
How you doing over there?
Doing pretty well, I'd say.
You following along?
Following along.
Looks like these guys are still in the design phase, which is a very important phase. If you don't have a template to work with, then you're gonna just make up whatever happens and work with that. So that's what they're doing. That's a great way to start crafting.
Yep,
Duck.
definitely.
Two-headed duck.
I thought it was a bowl of soup.
It looks like a bat. You're throwing the bat. It looks like a bat. Okay. Never mind.
Right off the bat. Hi-oh.
All right.
Okay, are we ready?
So the next step, we did line A. Pretty easy. Yep, we've all got that down. One thing I want to make a note of is that the bottom of this tape isn't always that conductive. It's kind of hit or miss sometimes. So we've kind of developed a system when we're making our crafts to get the copper from one place to another and go around a corner. So if you've ever done any like really fancy gift wrapping or origami, or if you really like to fold your sheets in a very nice way, this is all going to be familiar to you. It's we'll start with line B. So for me, I'm starting from the bottom and going up. I think Amanda's going to start from the top and go down.
I start from the top, and then this is my little corner right here, and then I'll go down to where we're going to meet up with the LED eventually. So that's my job. And I'm going to go ahead and measure out about how much tape I need. Oops.
Hey there, Matt. What's your fondest Valentine's Day memory?
This one time I got stuck in the chimney because I was pretending to be the
Saint Valentine
ghost of.
Why are we here again? What's going on down there?
What's happening over there?
So, just like line A, we kind of followed that straight line. But what am I going to do when I get to this edge? For me, I found out this really cool trick, and Amanda uses this trick too, is to go all the way up to the edge and crease. Yep. I'm going to use my fingernails or use whatever tools you have handy to make a crease in the edge. And then if you hold the tape towards the end, not right up here in the middle, it'll start to bend around your hands and get really fussy and messy. If I just hold the end and fold it over, big tape does not cooperate as much as small tape, so we might want to zoom in on what Amanda's doing.
See what I just did here? I made like a little 45-degree angle. I don't know if that's going to help you, but right here in the corner. Okay?
Here we go.
So
I got it started.
Little fold, just like that. And if you go back to Angela, she got it working okay.
So when you turn the corner, this crease will actually keep the metal down in the tape, and then you can press this edge. Mine's not that neat, okay? So electricity doesn't really care about neatness. In this case, we just care about a continuous path. So if you don't get a perfect corner, that's fine. If you don't get on the lines, that's fine too. If you just want to freestyle it like our friends over here, that is a third option.
Looks
freestyle.
Beautiful.
This is what freestyle looks like.
Yay.
Try it out.
Wow.
It's going really well.
This will be beautiful in the end, I promise you.
Okay, so we have lines A and B done.
Line C is a little different. Now, if you're reading along with the tutorial, you see some really great pictures and a big warning saying stop here, don't just follow the line. Because we're working on a flat plane, we don't have a battery holder here, and we don't have a great way of putting a battery in our project. So we're actually going to create one out of the copper tape. So I want you to take a little bit of tape and fold it down in itself. Remember that that sticky part wasn't always conductive, so we're going to make a tab that is all copper all the way around. So it's a little hard to see when I'm bending it here, so I'll show you when it's done. I've got this tab with copper stuck to itself, and Sadie thinks this is the really interesting part.
That's why she got up, because she's really excited about it. Okay. And I went ahead and I measured my last line here, line C, and got the tape all ready, and then Angela's going to show you. Actually, I did that wrong. Let me try that again.
So Amanda's working with a template that has one more corner. So her line C has a corner and this tab. Mine just has a tab, so I picked the easiest one.
So for mine, I actually made a mistake here and I cut too little. What you need to do is when you're making your tab for your battery to go over the positive part, you want to actually go about I'm going to go about an inch longer just to give it, so you can make the flap at the end there.
Hey there, Matt.
Yeah.
John from Kansas City asks, where can one procure those amazing glasses?
Hey, John from Kansas City. How you doing? I love Kansas City.
It's a great town.
It is fantastic food.
Fine town.
Well, we hunted in the Rocky Mountains and we came across some cantaloupes growing, and we took their lives and we cut their hearts out, put lenses in them. Here we are. Voila. Rocky Mountain cantaloupe heart glasses.
Back to you.
I don't even know what to say after that.
True adventurers over there, both in crafts and in life.
Sadie, make sure to stay away from them, please.
So line C, we're making our battery holder. Amanda's got hers ready now.
Yep.
I'm going to use mine. We're going to put this tab over that big circle. That circle happens to be where your battery is going.
Let's make the tab here.
So that it kind of makes this sandwich here. We're going to sandwich the battery in there when we're done. Right now I'm just laying down the path for my circuit. So I'm going right over here with my flap, and I'm going to cut at the edge. If you can hand me those scissors.
Sure. There you go.
Look at this.
Not long enough.
Greg, come back. I'm right here.
Okay.
All right, so Amanda's got hers made.
Yep.
Sadie's taking a nap here.
So here's another troubleshooting method. I actually cut it still too short. So right here you can see how short it actually is. You need to bring it all the way up to, I'll point to it right here. So here's where the scissor line is, and I cut it too short. So there's something that you can do really quick, I'll show them. How you can fix that is take another piece of tape, and you're gonna do kind of similar to what you did with the battery and how you made that little tab. So you're gonna go ahead and cut a tiny little piece, take the back off of it, okay? And then what you're gonna do is, since the adhesive is just not that great with conductivity, I like to fold this over itself. Whoa. Just like that. So just like we taught you earlier with the battery holder. And then I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side too. Just like that. So it's folded over itself, okay? So it's all shiny. And then all I'm gonna do is just put it right down where I needed the extra tape. And then I'm just gonna use some simple Scotch tape to tack it down. And that will complete the circle. It'll help if your line is too short.
So that's a great tip that Amanda came up with. So when you're working with craft materials, a lot of people want to just kind of go wherever their creativity is taking them, and you might run into instances like that.
Yep.
So that's a great way to kind of bridge the circuit. Or if you really wanted to and you're perfectionist, you can just pull up the whole line of tape and put a new one on. So it's really up to you.
And one more thing I wanted to say too is you want to make sure you don't tape over the top portion of this, because you need to make sure the LED leg is going to touch this part of the copper tape. So what happens is this Scotch tape acts as an insulator. So you don't want that to happen, because you want to be able to complete the circuit.
So we just created the template for a circuit and the actual conductors that are putting our battery to our LED. But we haven't really talked much about the circuitry itself and what components are going in here.
Taking off?
While Sadie's doing some acrobatics here, I'm going to show you some big examples so you can see at home. The other parts that you saw on the wish list for the tutorial were an LED. This is my big fake prop LED. And then Amanda's got her little one with her kit.
This is it right here.
Then we've also got our button.
Buttons are right here. Good. Excellent.
And a battery. So Amanda's got the battery.
We're using the really small battery. Did you already mention that?
No, so we're using the CR, I want to say 1225.
Yep, 1225.
And we use that with our card projects because it's really low profile, it's small. You can also use CR2032, which is a little bit bigger. Especially if you're working with kids, it might be easier to do a bigger battery to kind of target on that. Both of those will work with this template.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're going to do is start to prep our LED to go on here. So
LED.
What we're doing in this project, we're using mostly craft materials. We're not going to solder anything. We're not going to do any really strong connections in that way, which is a plus because it's faster and you can use whatever you have at home. Kind of a minus because it's not going to be a super strong connection. So we're working with paper, it's flexible. We're using Scotch tape, that's also flexible. So these might kind of fail after a little bit of wear and tear, but the thing that you can do is use a really heavy cardstock. So if you're using cardstock, not construction paper, not copy paper, but cardstock that will have a little bit less flexibility, it will help you make a stronger circuit when you tape them together. So we're going to get our LED ready.
Yep. Cardstock, not construction paper.
Cardstock.
You got it all wrong.
This is beautiful.
It looks nice though. What is that exactly?
This is a breakfast bar caught in a time machine.
Breakfast bar.
Running away.
I was thinking it's more of like a hieroglyphic.
Is this going to prove insanity if I get this right?
It might.
Good.
It might.
All right, so I want you to find your LEDs. These like to fall on the ground too, so I always order a few extra just in case, or if the cat runs off with one. Now she's distracted by her water.
Trying to fit her head in the glass.
So we're
really
gonna
lovely scene.
take our LED and attach it. Now the first instinct is to just stick it on there, but they're not really gonna play nice with this paper. So we're gonna do some bending techniques that we've kind of been practicing over the last year or so that we learned from some great folks at the MIT Media Lab who are working with paper circuits too, is to actually bend them with pliers into two separate shapes. So Amanda's gonna demonstrate that live for you.
Okay, so what I like to do is I like to spread them, make them look like they're doing the splits, just like that.
So one thing, once you bend those and you make them flat, you can't really tell which side's positive and negative anymore. See, the one in Amanda's hand, it's like really hard to do that other than if you have super, super eagle eyes or if you have a ruler. So the shapes that we're gonna be bending them into are actually helping us visually remember which side's positive and negative.
So, and also, if you kind of forget which leg is the longest, you know, long leg is positive, short leg is negative, you can also look on the LED, and there's the flat side of the LED. If you feel around for it, you can actually see it too with your eye. It's a little hard to see, but that will tell you, that will indicate that that's the negative part of the LED. So, okay, so we should start with...
Yep, so we're gonna start with the positive.
Okay, so we'll flip it around.
It's very important to start out positive. Always.
Yes.
Always keep positivity.
Always be positive.
Always be positive.
Okay, so for the positive part, we're gonna go ahead and do like a little zigzag. And we're gonna use pliers. If you just have some like little handheld pliers just like this, you go ahead and just bend. I don't know if you can see this, Tony, but bend, bend.
So for any of you crafters who happen to be jewelry beading folks, this might be very, very familiar to you, doing these kind of
just like that
shaping of the wire.
All right. So there's that one, and you might need to flatten it out a little bit. So you might want to take your pliers, not flyers, but pliers, and just flatten it out so it'll sit really nicely on your paper when you put it down on your card, just like that. I don't know if you can see that. Okay. Should we do the negative next?
Yeah, so negative,
okay.
We're gonna do a different shape. So the system that Amanda and I use is to do the positive and the zigzag. It also kind of makes you think of a lightning bolt, maybe for power. The negative is a little spiral, and that's just to keep a shorter shape. So we're keeping that system of longer side is positive, shorter side is negative.
Yep.
So she's gonna show you how she spirals out with her pliers.
So I just go at the edge, at the end of the little, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought. But you're gonna start at the end of the little leg here, and then you're gonna do a little twist and turn, just like this. I don't know if we can catch this. And you're working with some really small parts, so it's kind of hard to see. But just like that, with your pliers, okay? So I'm just gonna keep going just a little bit more, and try to get it as even as you can, again, so it'll sit nice and neat on the paper, and it won't, you'll have a really nice connection if you do it that way. So.
Another note here, as Amanda's doing a really great job of bending that for you, electricity doesn't care if it's a perfect spiral or if it's a perfect zigzag. I've seen waves, we've seen squares, whatever helps you to remember which side is which, that's what's gonna work.
Definitely. Yep, so what you're gonna do is, so this is actually what it ends up looking like. I'm gonna hold it on the end here so you can see the full thing. Just like that. And then it's nice and flat on this side, so it'll lay down on the paper really well.
So while everyone's kind of bending and working their shapes at home, we're gonna go over to one of our questions from the audience.
Hey there, Matt.
Yes.
Ben from Anchorage asks, is there a discount code for today's show?
I apologize, there is no discount for today's shows.
Sorry,
today's
Ben.
shows, this isn't plural. You know, pick up some LEDs and batteries, and when you're done, it'll look just like this.
The reward is the thing put together. You can't put a discount on the reward.
And the reward will be the love that you get from the person you give your Valentine to.
Yes.
Oh, that's what this is about.
It sure is.
You finally figured it out.
You got it. It's going well.
All right.
Okay.
Should we tape down our LEDs?
Yeah, so I hope everyone's bending along with their pliers. If not, you can also look at the tutorial. So I'm going to take my giant one and I'm going to find a place on my template with the nice labels here. So remember, our positive was the zigzag and our negative was the spiral. I'm going to just line them up on the copper tape so that as much of this wire as you can get is touching there. So you might need to move it a little bit with your hands. You might need to kind of adjust. I'm not going to tape this on right away because Amanda's got my tape and it's hard to tape vertically. But if you can zoom in and see what Amanda's doing, she's using the Scotch tape over it and really pressing down with her fingernails to make sure there's a good connection between the copper and the wire on the LED.
Another thing you can do is you can take your pliers too and really get that tape just like down inside of that little spiral there, just to really hold it down so you can get that nice connection. And I'll do the same thing on the positive side as well. So just a little bit of Scotch tape. You don't need a lot. You don't want to overdo it because then your card will just be filled with tape and it might sound really crunchy when you're folding it. So the less tape you use, but using it efficiently, the better.
And you don't need to actually tape over the bulb of the LED. A lot of people just want to tape over the whole thing. That's, you know, it's great to use extra adhesive there, but it's not necessary for the electrical connection.
Okay. So it'll look just like this. All right. Cool.
So I'm going to borrow some tape and attempt to tape this on my giant one.
I can hold it for you.
Thank you. Sure. So I'm doing the same process. I'm just taping over those two sides. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm trying to make sure it lines up as much as possible with that circle. Mine's not quite on there, so I'm going to adjust it. And that way we don't accidentally short out across these two wires here.
Yep.
So if I was way over here on the negative, I might actually touch the positive there and short it out, or the same thing over here. So we're going to try and keep it right in the middle.
I call it the little bullseye.
The bullseye there. So now we have the path for our circuit with a copper tape, we have an LED, but we still don't have any power or any switch or mechanism to turn that on. So the next thing we're going to do is put in our button.
All right, so button. Here's the button. All right.
All right. So buttons, these are lily pad buttons. They're made for using the lily pad system and sewing with, but they're also really great for paper circuits because they have these large pads on the ends that you can use either over or under the tape. So what we're going to do is line this up with the oval on our template. It doesn't matter which side, which way this button goes. It's not polarized like the LED is. So we're just going to match that up. I didn't get my big button, so it's a little bit off, but Amanda's should fit right on the template.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, just let us know. We can certainly help you answer any questions you have about this activity or any other kind of crafty activities. Let's see, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this button on right here. And there's like a little outline. I don't know if you can get that, but you want to make sure your button fits within that outline. Again, you're going to take some Scotch tape. Oh, Sadie's going to come and join for a while. Okay. And you're just going to tape down each side of it. Again, don't try not to go over the button here. Just get that down, just like that.
Another good tip to figure out if you have your button lined up right is to actually look through the holes on that lily pad board. And if you can see copper through it, then it's lined up. If you're not seeing it on one side, it's a little bit off. So that's a good. Mine's a little smaller than my template, so I'm having a little bit of an issue, but I can actually just visually move it until it gets in the right place.
Yep. So in this example here, you can see the button is right here, the little gold portion of the little board. And you want to make sure that that's over the middle, like in between the gap of the two pieces of copper tape. So just like that. Hey guys, I have a joke for you.
Let's hear it.
Why don't cats play poker in the jungle?
I don't know.
There's too many cheetahs.
Hi-oh.
Oh, I shouldn't have eaten lunch today.
Hi-oh. You got jokes. Zing.
Do we have any other questions? Does anybody want to ask any questions for us? No? Okay, we're good. Let's keep going.
So I'm catching up and I'm putting my button on here.
So she's taping down. And, oh, we had an escape artist over here.
Look what I got.
What you got?
Look what I got over here. Look at this thing.
How did you get here?
We're going to take a short break from our exhausting crafting and kind of showcase this project that Sadie's modeling. Can you guys
where can I get one of these matching sweaters?
That was from the pet store, but if you look really closely, I don't know if you guys can see if you want to pick her up. There's something going on in that sweater.
Isn't that beautiful?
Wow.
Look at that cat. Look at that.
What a specimen.
So she's wearing a lily pad sweater. There's a lily pad twinkle on there.
Hey,
The lily
Greg, I
twinkle.
got you something for Valentine's Day.
Matthew, you shouldn't have.
She's like caught on your
Oh, thank you. Oh boy. Thank you so much. Just what I always wanted for Valentine's Day.
Yay!
Oh, she likes it too.
Sadie's gonna show it
She's
off.
going to be the craft inspector at that table now.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, perfect.
Perfect, huh?
She was
what a
trained.
show.
She was trained
What a
for
show
this.
we got for you today.
The ladies just love us.
How's Rosie doing down there?
Who? Rosie, how you doing down here? Come here.
Hello.
Come here.
Oh, it's
Come on.
It's a pet and pony show
Dogs
here.
and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
All right. Fun with animals over here. All right. Well, hopefully the rest of you were able to catch up as we took our little animal break. So
here's the exciting part. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
Time for the battery,
Can't you
so
tell?
time to test it out.
Ooh, yay. Time to light things up.
So I've got a big cardboard battery, so you can see, and Amanda's going to use her real battery in the circuit.
Tiny, tiny little battery. All right. Cool. So
We're going to go back to that nice tab that we made on line C, and we're just going to aim this battery to line up with the circle right there. So which side is the positive and which side is the negative of this battery?
oh, I don't know. What's the answer?
What's going on over here?
On the top of the battery, you can see some writing. It says the battery model and also has a big plus sign. And that's how you can tell with these coin cell batteries. The bottom is negative. It'll look like a kind of bumpy texture.
Yeah, I can
mine's got
show.
other craft materials on it because it's not a real battery.
You can show it just like that. That's the bottom part.
Got the whole animal kingdom over here.
Okay, well, you know, you get the gist, I'm sure. Yeah, how's it going? Are they getting along okay?
No, it's going great.
Good.
Yeah, they seem.
She likes to rub against the little microphone over there, huh?
She's a big fan of the microphone.
She likes it.
There you go. You
She's
think I
a
can fit
really
on this table,
well-trained
too?
cat.
You could
How can
try.
I stretch out?
You can tell I do a lot of crafts at home because she's very comfortable with this process.
All right.
Right, so Amanda's putting her battery in her template here. So what we're doing is we're lifting up that tab. This tab is going to go on the positive side, so the top side. And then we already made our negative line here to fit under it. So I'm just going to do this and then tape over it.
Yep, again, just using same old Scotch tape that you already have. And you're just going to tape right over the battery there.
And I'm going to attempt to tape over my giant battery here.
And what we like to do is kind of do a crisscross, or actually do an actual cross to hold the battery in place.
And another thing that Amanda and I have found when we're teaching this to large groups of people is that the battery can end up being the weakest point in these connections because you want a really strong pressure holding that in the sandwich of the copper tape. So I'm not going to get a really good connection from all these tiny pieces of tape, but she did a really great process where she's crisscrossing it and really pushing that down.
Yep.
If you have some Z-axis conductive tape too, that would be really great to put between the battery and the holders.
Hey there, Matt.
Hey, I got you this dog for Valentine's Day.
Oh, you shouldn't have. Thank you. I
Bring in the elephant.
got a question for you here.
Bring in the elephant.
Bernadette from Long Island asks, where did you get the giant mock-up circuit?
Oh, that's a good question.
So the giant mock-up circuit is actually something that Amanda and I developed together when we teach because it's really hard, as you can see just from videotaping this, to show all those little tiny components. What we did is we took the pictures from our catalog online and we blew those up to like 20 times size and printed them out and mounted them on foam board so that we can take them around and then put them together and use the big tape to show a circuit. The LED is actually made out of half of a plastic Christmas ornament and some pipe cleaners, so things that you can get at the craft store. And I was trying to get a functional circuit for this for the live show, but it didn't happen just yet. But we're going to actually embed the components in these so you can show on a large scale how that lights up and how it works.
It's so pretty. So here's my my finished product right here. I don't know if you want to zoom in on that lovely piece. Look at that. I put a lot of tape on that one, but hopefully it'll work.
So are we ready for the final test?
The reveal. Will this light up?
Drum roll, please.
Whenever you're ready, I can light it up. All right, drum roll. Louder. Yay!
Yeah! All right.
Oh,
Nicely
God.
done.
This cat is excited.
Yay.
Bravo.
She's giving you
really
a standing
excited.
ovation over there.
Awesome.
So now that we
That is
have our
exciting.
finished circuit, it's time to get crafty and put something on top that's going to shine the light through. So if you want to just stop at this point and design your own like these guys are doing, then you can figure out where that LED is shining and then design something that's going to sit over it. For us, we're going to use our pop-up templates.
What do you got there?
All right.
I think they're a bunch of molars. Looks like bad gums.
Look at that set of chompers.
Yeah, they need to brush their teeth a little more. That's what this is all about.
These are the worst hearts I have ever seen.
It's Oral Hygiene Month,
Should be
everyone.
ashamed of yourself.
All right.
So at this point, you can put your electronics pieces away. I'm going to put the copper tape to the side
Clear
so
it
we
out.
can focus on the design.
Or you can just throw it on the floor. You know, whatever works for you.
That's kind of how my desk looks, is I just throw it all on the floor.
Yeah. Scoot back in here. Get all of our little crafts ready. We got all kinds of stickers and markers and a little Be My Valentine. I know that's very exciting.
And I've got a circuit that I built using a 5mm LED, so you can use whatever LED you have on hand. The 3mm work really awesome because they don't stick up through the card when you fold it. Yes. So here's the 5mm there. Works just the same. And then we want to do a side-by-side of those
Sure.
two so you can see the difference.
Yep. We could even light them up together.
Woo, synchronized.
There we go.
So what Amanda had happening is because she was bending hers, let's see if we can make it fail. This one's pretty sturdy. I built a good one over here. But as you bend it, sometimes those pieces will move.
There it goes, flickers.
So you can kind of troubleshoot that circuit by pressing on where you think that failure might be happening. So do a little adjusting, put more tape if you need to.
Yep. Mine was on my LED here. So you just want to try to really get it pressed down into that tape. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and actually fold mine. There's a little dotted line right here, and that is a little guide to help you know where to fold. Or you can just fold it right in half.
Yep. Or the thing that we always forget to do is fold that first. So if you fold it before you put any components on, then you won't have to worry about accidentally poking the LED through. So pro tip.
Yep.
Hey there, Matt.
Yeah.
Any exciting news going on from the SparkFun production floor?
There is so much going on the SparkFun production floor that it's kind of
Do tell.
I can't even really begin to. Well, I'm sitting upstairs, so I really couldn't tell you.
That's true.
Yeah.
What's going on?
The
down
way
there?
to find out is every day look at your friendly neighborhood SparkFun homepage, and you will see news and projects and beautiful things that you can do at home
Or up here.
or up here.
All right.
Back to you.
Great. So over here, I just always use some kind of hard, you know, like the back of your pliers.
Or the end of the
or
scissor handle
scissors.
works really great
Exactly.
too.
Just to crease down your card and make that bend nice and neat. So it'll look just like that. All right. So
Time time for this. I think is the hardest part of making these cards is actually the folding of the pop-up piece.
Yep, it can be.
Traditionally, pop-up card instructions online are really difficult, or origami instructions too, really difficult to follow along with. So that's why we're going to do this live, so you can actually see in video how they fold. So Amanda's going to do hers facing her, and I'm going to do mine facing you, so that you can see kind of from every angle. So we're both going to do the I love you card.
Yep.
And if you want instructions on the other two cards, we can do that live, or there's actually videos and pictures on the tutorial too for those.
I'll follow your directions.
All right. So we're using handy dandy pre-perforated templates with the laser cutter or our electronic cutter. If you're following along just using the template and using the lines, this might be a little trickier to get those folds precise. So be patient with yourself and use a tool if you have a bone folder for envelopes, or if you have scissors or something small to help you really crease those things. That'll help out a lot. So the first thing we're going to do with the I love you card is we're going to do these little center folds.
Okay. Right here on the outside?
Yep.
All right.
So I'm using my finger to fold that. Amanda's using a different technique where she's doing it in the air. I'm doing it against the table. Do whatever option works for you to get that crease. We're not creasing it across the entire card because we're actually going to crease our letters. So we just want to do those two edge pieces.
Yep, just like that.
Here's a question for you. Kyle from Bismarck asks, how sturdy are those circuits? Or how often does the copper tape fail? Great question, Kyle.
So it's actually not the copper tape that fails in these cases, it's the connection between the copper and the components. Because we're using the Scotch tape, it's not really the most mechanically, electrically sound way. So if you really wanted a sturdy one, you could actually solder these components together other than the battery. You don't want to solder the battery. If you solder directly to a battery, you could heat it up, and actually I've witnessed a battery explode when it was soldered directly to. It was not pretty, and it sounded awful.
It's like a pop, isn't it?
It was a big pop, and there was some screaming involved. So I don't recommend doing that.
Not fun. Should not be laughing.
And always wear your safety glasses when you're soldering, but don't solder to a battery. And they were, yeah.
That'll make for a little too much Valentine's Day heat. Am I right?
Ooh, hi-yo.
That was good.
So if you wanted a really strong connection for these, the soldering will work really great with the lily pad components. There's actually another tutorial on our website that uses soldering with these. It's the Father's Day light up card that our creative technologist Nick Poole did, and he used lily pad battery holder and soldered that to the copper tape, and he also used the lily pad LED and a lily pad button. The reason that we're not using the lily pad battery holder is it's really bulky in our particular designs. He put it behind a pop-up. We're putting it under a flat piece. And also, the lily pad components don't always get enough surface area on them to touch the copper tape. The button is the one exception in the lily pad line because it is a big surface area. So this is why we've done this. Also, it's a lot cheaper to do these kind of cards versus using very specialized parts. So we're going to continue folding.
Hey there,
Thank you for
Matt.
questions.
Yeah.
Roger from Pennsylvania asks, will you send me SparkFun boxes, please? Do we do that for people?
Well, we generally send our products inside SparkFun boxes. And what I have found out is the reason people want SparkFun boxes is because they love using them for their little inventions. I had a guy come in to pick up a box the other day, tiny little box, so he could put it in his helmet, his motorcycle helmet, and have some sort of contraption controlling his brainwaves to align with the stars and ride into the sunset. It was amazing.
Wow. It sounds incredible.
You should have seen it.
I can't imagine.
I think I would just get mine to play some Jimmy Page or something. It seems a bit extensive. Who would want to ride into the sunset?
Jimmy Page.
True.
The evil dark sunset.
Back to you.
Okay, back to the folding. So hopefully no one's too frustrated with folding yet. We only did one fold. There's a few more. The next thing we're going to do with this particular template is fold the bottom of our letters so they pop up from the page.
All right.
So I like to get my finger under there and sort of do one crease at a time. So I'm starting with the I, and Amanda's starting with the
Yeah, I
U.
did the I and the U here. Or you can do it together at once.
Yeah,
there
we're
against
creasing.
the table, just like that.
And we start to get a little bit of this 3D thing going on. The next one is to do the top edge of the letters. So I'm going to flip mine over and do the same process.
Okay. You doing all the way at the top there?
All the way at the top.
Okay.
A light.
Oop.
Well, that would be handy.
Yeah.
I haven't broken anything so far.
Whatever way works to get that crease. Everybody works a little bit different spatially. So it's hard to do one instruction set for these. So whatever gets you to a crease up there so it pops out from the page.
Yep. Just like that.
Here's a question for you guys. Can you use conductive paint instead of solder?
Aha!
That's another really good question.
So I've actually been experimenting a lot with conductive paint and conductive inks, and especially with card making because they are so flat. It's great. There is a bit of a dry time, so you really have to be patient with your crafting. If you want to get it done really fast, copper tape's the way to go. If you have some time to let it sit overnight and dry, the bare conductive paint or circuit stripe ink will work really well. Doesn't work as well to just tape the components on. You might want to use the Z-axis conductive tape, or if you can get the paint with bare conductive paint actually on a component, that will act like a glue. You just have to let it sit for a while so that you don't disturb it. It won't become conductive until it's all the way dry.
Yeah, and bare conductive can crack sometimes. I don't know if you just mentioned that, sorry. Yeah, so cracking can be an issue with that too. So you want to make sure you get some really thick, heavy lines in there, or I'm sorry, like when you draw it out with your paint, make sure that it's nice and thick and that you don't have too much cracking. So
we're actually working on our experiments right now in the education department, and we're going to be coming out with a tutorial that's all about e-crafting techniques. So it's going to be circuit scribe, bare conductive, copper tape, all the things, maybe even sewing through paper with conductive thread that you can try in making your paper crafts. So look forward to that in the next probably month or two.
Okay, so looks like we're at the last portion of this,
bit.
right?
Mine's already pre-folded apparently.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I can show here. There's one more area right here, right across like more than 3/4 of the way up on the I love you. So you're going to want to bend that out. Some people say you're doing a mountain fold, which means that it's coming up just like this. So that's what you want to do there. And then one more here on the eye. And then you can see how it kind of pops out just like that. And it reads the I love you.
So there's mine from the side, there's Amanda's from the front.
Yeah. Okay.
Once that's done,
you grab your background here.
So, Greg, have you ever been in lunch?
Once or twice, I suppose.
You were in lunch.
I was in lunch.
What kind of lunch was it?
Probably a ham sandwich. Do we have a pen over here?
You need a pen.
Hey guys, I have another joke for you.
Does it involve cats again?
Yeah, why is the cat so grouchy?
I don't know.
Because he's in a bad mood.
Oh, it's hard to be in a bad mood when you've got a cat on the table. I don't think this cat's in a particularly good mood.
Okay, hard way.
okay. So we've got our little folding done over here.
There we go.
And now we can just place those two center folds on the middle and start to kind of train our pop-up to go down. So if you press the creases in, then you'll have a better time popping this up when you open it. You can test out your circuit. So I just tested mine out and it's not working because this is the one that I use to travel with. So it's been in the suitcase quite a bit. What happened there was that the tape just popped up. So I'm going to put another piece of tape on it to make it extra secure. So you can see it shines through the heart, but that's a little boring. I mean, it's fun if you want to see the circuit. That's great. You can really showcase this piece, but it looks even cooler when you add a piece of vellum or rice paper or some kind of clear paper through and you can diffuse it.
Oh!
And then your set falls apart on you.
Look out over there.
Here, I'll just put it down. Or actually here, if people still need to see it, we'll just do that.
Look out!
So here's one that we built where we put some paper behind the heart. And to do that, you can trace out what the piece that you cut out of the middle and trace about a quarter of an inch to half an inch bigger than that, and then it will fit right behind the heart.
Yeah, vellum works really well, and also you can use wax paper or parchment paper if you just want to use some household items. Just as long as there's like a little bit of transparency in there for the light to be diffused, it looks really, really cool. So
unfortunately, this one has a dead battery because I just took it to an event. But I bet I can peel this off and put it on another one of our working ones.
And this one is the wrong template.
So I'm going to transfer this over to the one that we just built together. And you can see that shines through.
Would you say this project is fun for all ages?
I would say that any age person could enjoy this project. Yes.
Do they have to have a cat?
It helps. Certainly helps. Give you a sunnier disposition.
All right.
So, there we go again. Is that this one? Well, maybe not the hearts, but we did some Christmas card versions for the holidays, and it was really fun to put the cycling RGB LEDs in there, so you get like a disco Christmas tree effect. We did a gingerbread house and what we call the disco gingerbread, and that hangs around our desk. That just looks like there's kind of a rave going on inside the gingerbread. So that's fun. So you can experiment with other different LEDs. If you have one that's like a candle flicker or something cool effect, then you can put that in there.
Yep. Yep, and you can use all kinds of different stickers and all kinds of different markers. And again, like I was saying before, you can use little stamps if you want to, and then it can turn out kind of like Angela's really cool card over here. So
another great thing to do, once we cover up our circuit with the pop-up, you can't really tell where that button is. So we like to put stickers or some kind of indication where to push.
Yeah, you can even draw and push or however you want to do it to indicate that that's where you push.
I think we have another question over
yes,
there.
we do. This one says, can you add a microcontroller for LED control?
Oh. Yes.
Yes, you
can. You can definitely do that. That's a great idea. That'll offer up a little bit more. You'll get some really cool light patterns. You can do all kinds of things with that, like light sequencing and.
Do you want to talk about that project that you're working on?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in the middle of working on an interactive map. So unfortunately, it's not really working right now because I'm just in the beginning stages, but let me grab it.
The prototyping phase, but she'll show what she's doing.
So I'm using Circuit Scribe. Circuit Scribe is now something new that just came out, and what it has is silver in it, so it's conductive. And you can draw with it, and you can make little circuits out of it. So what I did is I just took the map of the United States, and I took little lily pad LEDs. That's the best thing I could think of. And actually, from the question earlier about the microcontroller, I added in a little Lily Tiny. And so I wanted to do a light sequence across this. These are all the places that I live and my siblings and my parents live. So San Francisco, Denver, Detroit, and Boston. And on the back here, I added in the little battery holder, the little switch battery holder. So that is kind of the beginning stages of it. I did some sewing, so I used some conductive thread. I really just kind of used a whole hodgepodge of different things, and that's kind of how you do it. You just sort of experiment and see what works for you. This is going to be the hidden piece, and then on top of it here is another overlay of the map, and eventually I put some little holes in here, and eventually what you'll see is each light turn on in the way that I traveled across the country. So I started over here in Boston, went to Detroit, went to Denver, and went to San Francisco, and so they'll light up in a little sequence, and that's what the little Lily Tiny does, the microcontroller. So eventually it will start to work, and then I will be able to put it in this lovely frame that I just bought. Whoops. And so it'll look really cool once it's all put together. But in the meantime, I've got a little more work to do. So, yeah.
And the great thing about this frame is that Amanda doesn't have to worry about her paper circuit bending once it's in the frame, so it's going to be really solid and secure once she gets everything together.
Right.
Unlike our cards, which the more that we kind of crumple them and move them, we're going to lose the connection there. So that's a really great project. Or for scrapbooking pages where you have a clear sheet over it that has a little bit more stability to it.
Yep, so it'll end up looking just like this, but it'll be lighting up. And then also on the back, what I'm going to plan to do is to have access to the switch battery holder. I'm going to go ahead and use, we're fortunate to have our laser cutter, so what I plan to do is make a big circular hole here so you can get into the battery holder and switch it on and off when you want to turn it on and off. So that's the plan. Hopefully it will be in action here soon. So.
Here's another question for you. Can you have a circuit cross the card fold?
So when you're crossing this crease, just like when we were having lots of bending happening on the top, you're actually going to have more stress on that copper across the crease. So we learned from one of our friends actually at MIT was that if you use a conductive fabric on that instead of copper tape, you can actually either hand cut or laser cut conductive fabric into these same sort of lines and use a iron-on interfacing to iron them on, or use some kind of glue to attach them. That way you have the flexibility of the fabric. You're not going to be putting a lot of stress on the metal and the copper. So that's one option too.
So we should probably show them how to glue it all together.
Yes.
Yeah. So I personally like to use rubber cement. It works pretty well for me, but you can use all kinds of different adhesives. Elmer's glue, tape, like double-sided tape is really good. But the biggest thing you don't want to do is, well, that I don't usually like to do, is use the tape or the adhesive over the components. So I try to avoid that area of your circuit and then just do all of the rest of the card. So
like Amanda was saying, if you're getting really excited about gluing this whole thing down and you actually glue over the button, you're going to seal that button into the on position.
Right.
So be careful about where you're laying this paper over.
Yeah. So here's just an example of one that I made. And you just want to avoid this area of the gluing or whatever you're using. If you're using tape, I would just glue or tape up in this section, and then you can tape down the entire section on the other side. I already did that, so it's hard to tell. It's hard to show you that portion of it, but yeah, and then it works out really well. So you might have like a little bit of gapping there, but if you want, you can also kind of put a little bit of tape maybe in here. You just don't want to go over the components.
And
You don't want them to stick.
Perfectly good thing to do is actually leave that side open so you can showcase your circuit. So show what you made.
Yep. We like to use this as an example for our classes, so then we can go around and show our students kind of how it's built, but then also kind of show what it looks like in a completed phase. And then it lights up. And again, I put a little heart right there to indicate where the button is to light up. So. Yeah.
So what are you guys doing over there?
I have a light up cat.
Awesome.
Oh.
Interactive crafting over there.
That's a beautiful frame.
She loves it.
She just loves it.
She loves it.
Awesome.
So that's it for this project, but there are also some other cool things that you can do for Valentine's Day that we're going to talk about. One of them you've already seen modeled on Sadie. It's hard to see in this lighting, but she's got a light-up sweater on. That she happens to be one of those cats that tolerates wearing clothing. Not all cats will do that, so buyer beware if you start buying components to make a cat outfit. Dogs might take a little bit better to that. So what I did for that project was I just planned out where my LEDs were going to shine through on her pattern for the sweater, and then used hot glue to glue them on their lily pad LEDs, and then stitched it together with conductive thread. So it's really easy if you have a project with enough space to be able to turn it inside out and work that way, and then it's hidden. We also have.
Does she mind the components, or is she pretty good with that?
She's fine with that. I happen to dress my cat up in various costumes throughout the year, so this is actually the least complicated thing that she's worn. She has a pair of bat wings and like a shark costume and those sort of things. So this is actually the most comfortable for her.
She's modeling
she's fine.
it right now.
She's modeling it, showing it off.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, would you say that sweater is a perfect fit?
Oh, yes.
All right.
That's my kind of joking around.
Oh my. She likes that too.
Now there's a cat, now there's not. Invisible cat.
So I'm going to show a couple other projects that you can use the same technology with. It might be a little easier to show what's working on here than to get the cat to cooperate. So these are both using the same board. It's the Lily Tiny, or you can use the Lily Twinkle. The Lily Twinkle just has a twinkling pattern on each one of the pins that you can sew to. The Tiny has 4 different patterns. So I think this one is the heartbeat on here. There's a battery holder here, and then you can see, I love your dumb face.
Yay.
Did that
Another
Valentine
tip.
work?
I'll take that.
This one has not been given to its Valentine yet, so we'll see. We'll report back on that.
Yeah, that's my question.
I hope this gets as many views as Puppy Bowl.
Ooh, yeah. And sponsorship money.
Here's another one using a Lily Tiny using a different mode. So this is the blank pin on the Lily Tiny. It says cute butt. You might want to be a little strategic about who you give this one to, I think.
I made that one for you, for the record. You're welcome.
I thought no one was going to notice.
Oh, I noticed.
Been working out.
I noticed.
Been working out.
I noticed.
Another tip for the way that Maya, the creator of these 2 projects, worked is she actually worked with the fabric out on a flat plane. So she had 2 sides of the heart in one piece, and then stitched all her pieces on there, and then folded it over and stuffed it. It can be really difficult to work with some of these materials on a 3-dimensional form. So if there's any way that you can do all that sewing and that prep work on a flat piece before you actually make it into a 3D thing, it works a lot better. It can be really frustrating if you lose your needle in this stuffing, or if you're trying to like get things around and it's moving on you.
Right. And you also did a little running stitch around the edge of it to make it look a little more decorative. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm really into crafting, if you haven't noticed. So is Amanda. And we like to figure out ways to really kind of make things a little bit more decorative. This is a blanket stitch.
Oh, blanket stitch.
Yeah,
okay.
so you can learn how to do that online. There's lots of tutorials. It's often one you find on fleece blankets. That's why it's called a blanket stitch, if you've ever had one with a little border there. And this is embroidery thread, so it's a little bit thicker, a little bit easier to see. And then the rest of these are all felt cutouts. So you can actually put felt over the LEDs and the lily pad LEDs, and it will shine through as long as it's not a black felt. So the white, any light colors will really make it look like it's a magical effect.
Cool.
A magical effect. What a magic effect. It's really great. How many times are we going to do this?
Forever.
Until it stops
Do you
working.
think those people at home have this access? We're having fun with it.
So I have a question for you guys and, and our live audience. How did you find your crafting experience with electronics? What did you learn today?
I learned what Valentine's Day was.
That's a very important concept.
I learned what a mess we could make of this balcony up here where we are. I also really learned mostly about the LEDs, the long side of the LED, important to remember. Polarity, you know?
Polarity.
Don't want to cross your wires.
Do not cross the wires.
Don't do
How
it.
about you, Matt?
I learned that cats pretty much just have the ultimate life because they can lay anywhere they want and just be oblivious of their surroundings, and everyone accepts them.
Yeah, I don't know anyone else who's oblivious of their surroundings.
What does that mean?
All right.
So I think that's all that we have to show you today, unless there's any more questions from the audience. Nope, no
Okay.
questions. And as always, if you have questions specifically about tutorials and about projects like this, you can email education@sparkfun.com and they'll get to either me or Amanda and we can forward it to the correct people that will help you out. This project is on learn.sparkfun.com on a tutorial section. And then there's also some other projects, maybe not always Valentine's themed, but you can adapt them to whatever your Valentine's craft is. So we encourage you to get creative, get crafty, involve your pets if they will tolerate it, and have a lot of fun. So we hope that you were able to finish a project or follow along.
Yeah,
and
we really enjoyed your company. Thank you for coming out. And if you want to check out this next video from Brendan Hamilton, I think it's pretty cool.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No animals were harmed in this.
Not at all.
Please don't email us.
Only us.
Today I'd like to provide some historical background on Valentine's Day. It was a feast day for the old Christian martyr Saint Valentinus that may or may not have had something to do with the pagan feast of Lupercalia, which has something to do with wolves and bloody knives and draping oneself in goat skins, which is totally sweet but probably irrelevant. Yada yada yada, something boring about Chaucer, and then it all got hijacked by a big greeting card to sell tchotchkes to chumps. And every year the candy companies find new and innovative ways to put even less candy in those heart-shaped boxes, which is probably a metaphor for the demise of Western civilization, or a Nirvana reference, or something your uncle whined about in the 80s. They've got Wikipedia, Professor. Dang it, Great-Grandpa Willie. I actually have something way more insightful to offer. Oh right, you're probably gonna bring up the St. Valentine's Day massacre and use that tragic 1929 mob killing to inject some predictably cynical commentary about romance in contemporary America. Don't you have a white light to get to? White light doesn't have gummy worms. Those are my gummy worms. I've been wondering who keeps eating those. How do you even... You know what? Never mind. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. A ghost stole my gummy worms and my spiel on this supposed day of romance. C'est la vie. Voulez-vous. Stop. You don't know French. And you do? You're Irish. Fontenoy, fool. Wrong century. Look who's talking. What, me? Newsflash. Flannel went out with slap bracelets and ecto cooler. Flannel's still cool, and it's comfortable. You know, on second thought, keep the flannel on. I swear I'm gonna call an exorcist one of these days. Exorcists are for possessions, flannel boy. Only thing I'm possessing is this fly hat. Oh yeah, and your gummy worms. That hat's not even period federal issue. And the weave pattern is all wrong on that Farby excuse for a fatigue blouse. Nerd. Ghost. You pick your nose when no one's looking. And that's all the time we have for today. See you all next time.